Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome on into First Take. I first would like to welcome the both of you, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman. I'm Charlie Arnold. And before we dive into last night's NFL season opener, we want to just take a moment to really acknowledge the significance of today, of course, it being the 19th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, a day none of us will ever forget, and our thoughts and our prayers are with each and every one of you on this very day. Now, New Yorkers really felt this hitting very close to home. Both of you, Stephen A., Max, you're native New Yorkers, so any thoughts that you'd like to share with us on this day?
Well,
Stephen A., you can go first.
For me, I was living in South Jersey at the time, and I saw the planes go into the Trade Center, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was one of the most devastating things I've ever seen in my life, knowing that the lives that were lost. One of my sisters was working down in that area at that particular moment in time, and I was scared to death for her. I remember one of my dearest friends screaming at me, "Don't go, don't even try to go into the city. You're not going to get in. There's just nothing that you can do but hope and pray." And then we learned about the thousands upon thousands of lives that were lost, how devastating it was to this nation. But it also brought the nation together. I remember that on that particular day, we were not black, we were not white, we were not Hispanic, we were not Asian American. We were all Americans, and we were under attack. And we felt an insatiable need to come together as a nation and to be as one, understanding that the greatest nation in the world has enemies out there, both foreign and domestic, that come for us. And that the only way to offset or to such a level of resistance is to be together as a nation and to come together. And once we do that, we're unstoppable. So that's the kind of message that I peel from that day. As tragic and devastating as it was, you still look at it from the standpoint that as Americans, we have to get up another day and continue to move forward and continue to fight to make this country a better place. That's what I walk away with it all from.
My mother actually was out grocery shopping and saw the plane, the first plane, hit into the tower. And it occurs to me that my reaction to this emotionally now is different. There are these demarcations of time that can place events deeper into the past and kind of dim their emotional resonance for you, as in you remember what you were feeling. We are now in the middle of a global pandemic, which, by the way, has taken the lives of over 50 number of American lives that were lost on 9/11 in the Trade Center attacks. And what occurs to me is when, Stephen A., you say enemies foreign and domestic, really what we're talking about is illiberalism. And I don't mean that in a political way, conservative and progressive. It's not what that means. Western liberalism are the ideals upon which this country was founded and ideally is based. The idea that we especially of expression, the freedom of speech.
We're having a little bit of
these are the best kind of ideals of Western liberalism. And what we saw on 9/11 was illiberal Islamist terrorists supremacist groups. But what they have in common with the Islamist terrorists is illiberalism. They're illiberal, they're intolerant. And what brought us together on 9/11 and what has sustained us as a country is that most of us aspire to the greatest ideals of Western liberalism. That was under attack on 9/11. It remains under attack today by various forces. And that's, I think, at least that's what I come away thinking of today.
9/11, I think, is a day that all of us can remember exactly where we were, what we were doing when the attacks occurred. So definitely a day for some very significant remembrance. I think it's also a reminder that we as a country really need to stand together. We're going through a lot, and today is just one more. It is so important for us to do that. Now we just want to take a second to pay tribute and remember the lives lost on this very day 19 years ago. And now, First Take continues on this Football Friday with last night's resounding 34-20 win by the Chiefs in the NFL season opener against the Texans. Pat Mahomes was sharp. He threw for 211 yards on 24 complete yard touchdown. The Texans, led by Deshaun Watson, tried to disrupt the Chiefs.
That's what makes this offense so good is we can change within games. We can go throughout our game plan and find ways to score. And whenever we get to the Chargers next week, we're playing another great defense, and we'll have to find a way to move the ball and score that week as well.
I was sharp. I took what the defense gave me. They took away a lot of the deep shots, and some opportunities to make plays, and and sometimes we capitalized and sometimes we didn't. So we just got to continue to grow from there. And I did what I needed to do to try to stay as close as possible and keep this team in the lead and reach to try to win the game.
And Ryan Clark joining us now. Stephen A., I want to ask you, was last night's outcome, was it more about the Chiefs or was it more about the Texans?
Well, to me, it was more about the Texans. I mean, we all knew that the Chiefs were going to win this game. I'm sure all three of us, myself, Max, and Ryan, picked the Chiefs to win this game. But we also lamented the fact that Deshaun Watson didn't have DeAndre Hopkins any longer. Now, Will Fuller still had about 8 receptions for 112 yards, and we understand from a statistical perspective he showed up. But what I would remind everybody is that the score was 7-7, and then the Kansas City Chiefs proceeded to score 24 straight unanswered points, or 24 unanswered points, and as a result, the game out of reach. You take that spurt into account, and then you take into account what happened in the AFC divisional playoff game when Houston was up 24-0 before the Kansas City Chiefs scored like 41 unanswered points and ultimately ended up winning 51-31. Take that into account, ladies and gentlemen, and from the time that the Kansas City Chiefs were down 24-0 to the Houston Texans, they have outscored the Houston Texans 82-14. Think about that for a second. 82-14 in the last, basically a part of the last two games that they've played against one another. For you to know, if you're Bill O'Brien, that you're in the same conference as the Kansas City Chiefs, for you to know that you're going up against a juggernaut led by Patrick Mahomes, with Tyreek Hill, with Sammy Watkins, with Travis Kelce, and then, this guy, Leah Edwards, out of LSU, this brother's running for 138 yards, averaging